Good morning, West Coast Nazarenes. Andrew Corby here, coming to you live from the Port Alberni Church of Nazarene, bringing to you day 33 of our 60-day journey through the Word, which finds us traveling from Ecclesiastes and then into the beginning of Isaiah. So let's start today with a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for your continued blessings and the gift of your Word, and I just pray that as we continue to travel through your word, that we will listen out to what your Spirit has for us, and that we will all take your words to heart and apply them in our lives. In your name I pray, amen. So without further ado, let's get into the word. Okay, Ecclesiastes chapter 9. But all this I laid to heart, examining it all, how the righteous and their wives and their deeds are in the hand of God. Whether it is love or hate, man does not know. Both are before him. It is the same for all, since the same event happens to the righteous and the wicked, to the good and the evil, to the clean and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and him who does not sacrifice. As the good one is, so is the sinner, and he who swears is he who shuns an oath. This is an evil this is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that the same event happens to all. All the hearts of the children of many are full of evil, and the madness in their hearts. Well, they live, and after they go to the dead. But he who is joined with all the living has hope for a living. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For a living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward. For the memory of them is forgotten. Their love and their hate and their envy have already perished, and forever they have no more share in what is done under the sun. Go, eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine, and be merry heart, for God has already approved what you do. Let your garments be always white, let no oil be lacking on your head. Enjoy life with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life that he has given you under the sun, because that is your portion in life, and your toil at which you toil under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. There is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol to which you are going. Again, I saw under the sun, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor the bread to the wise, nor the riches to the intelligent, nor the favor to those with knowledge, but time and chance happen to them all. For man does not know his time, like a fish that are taken in an evil net, and like birds that are caught in a snare, so the children of man are snared in evil time when it suddenly falls upon them. I have also seen this example of wisdom under the sun, and it seemed great to me. There was a little city with a few men in it, and a great king came against it and besieged it, building great siege works against it. But there was found in it poor, wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man. But I say that wisdom is better than might, though the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of the wise are heard in quiet, are better than the shouting of the ruler among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Death flies make the perfumer's ointment and give off a stench. So little folly outweighs a wisdom of honor. A wise man's heart inclines him to right, but a fool's heart to the left. Even when the fool walks on the road, he lacks sense, and he says to everyone that he is a fool. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offense to rest. There is an evil that I have seen under the sun. It is as it were an evil proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in the many high places, and the rich sit in the low place. I have seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. He who quarries stone is hurt by them, and who splits logs is endangered by them. For if the iron is blunt, and if one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength. But wisdom helps one to succeed. If the serpent bites before it is charmed, there is no advantage to the charmer. The words of the wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of the fool consume him. The beginning of the words is of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of the talk is evil madness. The fool multiplies words, though no man knows what it is to be, and who can tell him what will be after him? The toil of a fool wearies him, for he does not know the way to the city. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child, and the princes feast in the morning. Happy are you, O land, when your king is the son of nobility, and your princes feast in the proper time, for strength and not for drunkenness. Through sloth the roof sinks in, and through indolence the house leaks. Bread is made for laughter and wine gladness, and money answers everything, even in your thoughts. Do not curse the king, nor in your bedroom curse the rich, for a bird of the air will carry your voice, some winged creature will tell the matter. Ecclesiastes chapter 11. Cast your bread upon the waters, and for you will find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on earth if the clouds are full of rain. They empty themselves upon the earth, and if a tree falls to the south or in the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the way of the Spirit comes to the bones in the womb of the woman with a child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and in the evening withhold not your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Light is sweet and pleasant for the eyes to see the sun. So if a person lives many years, let him rejoice in them all. But let him remember that the days of darkness will be many, and all that comes is vanity. Rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart in the sight of your eyes, but know that for all these things God will bring you into judgment. Remove vexation from your heart and put away pain from your body, for youth and the dawn of life are vanity. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars darken and the clouds return after the rain, and the day when the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men are bent and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed and the doors on the street are shut, when the sound of the grinding is low and the one rises up in the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of song are brought low. They are afraid of what is high, and the terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms, and the grasshopper drags himself along, and desire fails, because the man is going to his eternal home, and the mourners go about the streets. Before the silver cord is snapped, the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered, or the fountain and the wheel is broken, and the cistern and the dust returns to earth as it was. The spirit returns to the God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher of all is vanity. Besides being wise, the preacher also taught the people knowledge, weighing studying and arranging of many proverbs with great care. The preacher sought to find words of delight, and uprightly he wrote the words of truth. The words of the wise are like goads, and the nails firmly fixed are the collected sayings. They are given by one shepherd. My son, beware of anything beyond these. Of making many books there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Song of Solomon, chapter 1. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Your anointing oils are fragrant. Your name of oil is poured out. Therefore virgins love you. Draw me after you. Let us run. The king has brought me into his chambers. We will exalt and rejoice in you. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. I am very dark, but lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not gaze at me because I am dark, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. Tell me, you whom my soul loves, where your pasture and flock, where you make it lie down at noon. For why should I be like one who veils herself besides the flocks of your companions? If you do not know, O most beautiful among women, follow in the tracks of the flock, and pasture your young goats beside the shepherd's tents, I compare you, my love, to a mare among Pharaoh's chariots. Your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with strings of jewels. We will make for you ornaments of gold studded with silver. While the king was on his couch, my nard gave forth its fragrance. My beloved is to me a sachet of myrrh that lies between my breasts. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms in the vineyards of En-gedi. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves. Behold, you are beautiful, my beloved. Truly delightful. Our couch is green, the beams of our house are cedar, our rafters are pine. Song of Solomon, chapter 2. I am a rose of Sharon, a lily of valleys, a lily among brambles, so is my love among the women. An apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. With a great delight I saw his shadow, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Sustained me with raisins, refreshed me with apples, for I am sick with love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir or awaken love until it pleases. The voice of my beloved, behold, he comes, leaping over the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Behold, there he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, looking through our lattice. My beloved speaks and says to me, arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. For behold, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard out loud. The fig tree ripens its figs, and the vines are in its blossom. They give its fragrance. Arise, my love, beautiful one, and come away. O my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the corners of the cliff, let me see your face, let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your face is lovely. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes, the spoils of vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He grazes among the lilies until the day breathes and the shadow flees. Turn, my beloved, be like a gazelle or a young stag cleft on cleft mountains. Song of Solomon, chapter 3. On my bed by night I sought him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. I will rise now and go about the city, in the streets of the squares. I will seek him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. The watchmen found me, as they have went about the city. Have you seen him whom my soul loves? Scarcely I had passed them. When I found him whom my soul loves, I held him and would not let him go until I brought him into my mother's house, into the chamber of her who conceived me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the doves of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. What is it? What is that coming up from the wilderness like columns of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all the fragrant powders of a merchant? Behold, it is the litter of Solomon. Around it are 60 mighty men, some of the mighty men of Israel, all of them wearing swords and an expert in war, each with his sword at his thigh against terror by night. King Solomon made himself a carriage from the wood of Lebanon. He made its posts of silver, its back of gold, its seat of purple, its interior inlaid with love by the daughters of Jerusalem. Go out, O daughters of Zion, and look upon King Solomon with the crown with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding, on the day of his gladness of his heart. Song of Solomon, chapter 4. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down the slopes of Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn ewes that have come up from the washing, of all which bear twins, and not among them has lost its young. Your lips are like a scarlet thread, and your mouth is lovely. Your cheeks are like halves of pomegranates behind your veil. Your neck is the Tower of David, built in rows of stone. On it hangs 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your two breasts are like fawns, twins of a gazelle that graze among the lilies. Until the day breeze and the shadows flee, I will go away to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. You are altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you. Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon. Depart from the peak of Hermana, from the peak of Senir and Hermon, from the dens of lions, from the mountains of leopards. You have captivated my heart, my sister, my bride. You have captivated my heart with one glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace. How beautiful is your love, my sister, my bride. How better is your love than wine and fragrance and oils and spice. Your lips drip nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue. The fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. A garden locked is my sister, my bride. Is spring locked, a fountain sealed. Your shoots are orchards of pomegranates with all the choicest fruits, henna with nard, nard with saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with the trees of frankincense, myrrh and aloes, with the choice spices, a garden fountain, well of living water, and fountain streams from Lebanon. Awake, O north wind, O come, O south wind, blow upon my garden, let its spices flow. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its choicest fruits. Sing Song of Solomon, chapter 5. I came to my garden, my sister, my bride. I gathered my myrrh with my spice. I ate my honeycomb with my honey. I drank my wine with my milk. Eat, friends, drink, and be drunk with love. I slept, but my heart was awake, a sound. My beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one. For my head is wet with dew, my locks with the drops of night. I had put off my garment. How could I put it on? I had bathed my feet. How could I soil them? My beloved put his hand to the latch, and my heart was thrilled within me. I arose to open my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, and my fingers liquid myrrh of the handles of the bolt. I opened to my beloved, but my beloved turned and was gone. My soul failed me. When he spoke, I sought him, but found me not. I called him, but he gave no answer. The watchmen found me, and they went about the city. They beat me and bruised me. They took away my veil. Those watchmen of the walls, I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, if you find my beloved, that you tell him, I am sick with love. What is your beloved more than another beloved, O beautiful monk woman? What is your beloved more than another beloved that you adjure us? My beloved is radiant and ruddy, distinguished among 10,000. His head is the finest gold. His locks are wavy, black and raven. His eyes are like doves beside streams bathed in milk. Sitting beside a full pool, his cheeks are like beds of spices, mounds of sweet-smelling herbs. His lips are lily, dripping with liquid myrrh. His arms are rods of gold set with jewels. His body is polished ivory, bedecked with sapphires. His legs are alabaster columns set on bases of gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as the cedars. His mouth is the most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. Song of Solomon, chapter 6. Where has your beloved gone, O most beautiful among women? Where has your beloved turned, that we may seek him with you? My beloved has gone down to his garden, to the beds of spices, to graze in the gardens and to gather lilies. I am my beloved's, and my beloved's is mine. He grazes among the lilies. You are beautiful as Tisra, my love, lovely as Jerusalem. Awesome in your army with banners. Turn away from your eyes from me. They are overwhelm me. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down from the slopes of Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of ewes that have come up from the washing, and all of them bear twins. Not one among them has lost its young. Your cheeks are like halves of pomegranates behind you. There are 60 queens and 80 concubines and virgins without number. My dove, my perfect one, is the only one of her mother, pure to her who bore her. The young woman saw her and called her blessed. The queens and concubines also, they praised her. Who is this who looks down like the dawn, beautiful as the moon, bright as the sun, awesome as an army with banners? I went down to the nut orchard to look at the blossoms of the valley, to see whether the vines budded, whether the pomegranates were in bloom. Before I was aware, my desire set me among the chariots of my kinsman, a prince. Return, return, O Shulamite, return, return, that we may look upon you. Why would we look upon the Shulamite, upon a dance before two armies? Song of Solomon, chapter 7. How beautiful are your feet in sandals, O noble daughter. Your rounded thighs are like jewels, the work of a master hand. Your navel is a rounded bowl that never lacks mixed wine. Your belly is a heap of wheat encircled with lilies. Your two breasts are like fawns, twins of gazelle. Your neck is an ivory tower. Your eyes are pools of Heshbon. By the gate of Bethrabim, your nose is like a tower of Lebanon, which looks toward Damascus. Your head crowns you like Carmel, and your flowing locks are like purple. A king is held captive in the tresses. How beautiful and pleasant are you, O loved one, with all your delights. Your stature is a palm tree, and your breasts are like clusters. I say, I will climb the palm tree and lay hold of its fruit. Oh, may your breasts be like clusters of vine, and the scent of your breath like apples on your mouth, like the best of wine. It goes down smoothly for me, my beloved, gliding over lips and teeth. I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. Come to me, my beloved. Let us go out into the fields and lodge in the villages. Let us go out to the early vineyards and see whether the vines have budded, whether the grape blossoms have opened, and the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes give forth fragrance, and beside our doors are all choice fruits, new as well as old, which I have laid up for you, O my beloved. Song of Solomon, chapter 8. Oh, that you were like a brother to me, who nursed at my mother's breast. If I found you outside, I would kiss you, and none would despise me. I would lead you and bring you into the house of my mother. She who used to teach me, I would give you spiced wine to drink, the juice of my pomegranate. His left hand is under my head, his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, that you may not stir up and awaken love until it pleases. Who is it that is coming up from the wilderness, leaning on her beloved? Under the apple tree I awakened you. There your mother was in labor with you. There she who bore you was in labor. Set a seal upon your heart as a seal upon your arm. For love is as strong as death. Jealousy is as fierce as the grave. It flashes the flashes of fire, the very flame of the Lord. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If a man offered for love all the wealth of his house, he would be utterly despised. We have a little sister, and she has no breast. What shall we do for our sister on the day when she is spoken for? If she is a wall, we will we build a battlement of silver? But if she is a door, will we enclose her with boards of cedar? I was a wall, and my breasts were like towers, and I was in his eyes as one who finds peace. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal-Hamon, so he let out the vineyard to the keepers. Each one was to bring forth its fruit for 1,000 pieces of silver. My vineyard, my very own, is before me. You, O Solomon, may have the 1,000, and the keepers of the fruit 200. O you who dwell in the gardens with companions, listening for your voice, let me hear it. Make haste, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag on the mountains of spices. Isaiah chapter 1. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he was concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. Children I have reared and brought up, but they have rebelled against me. The ox knows its owner, and the donkey its master's crib, but Israel does not know. My people do not understand. All sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, offsprings of evildoers, children who deal corruptly. They have forsaken the Lord. They have despised the Holy One of Israel. They are utterly estranged. Will you be struck down? Will you continue to rebel? The whole head is sick, and the whole heart is faint. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it. That the bruises and sores and the raw wounds, and they are passed out, or bound up, or softened with oil. Your country lies desolate. Your cities burned with fire. In your very presence, foreigners devour your land. It is desolate, overgrown by foreigners, and the daughter of Zion is left like a booth or vineyard, like a lodge in the cucumber field, like a besieged city. If the Lord of hosts had not left us a few survivors, we should have been like Sodom and been like Gomorrah. Hear the word of the Lord, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear to the teaching of God, your people of Gomorrah. What is it to me, the multitude of your sacrifices, says the Lord? I have had enough burnt offerings of rams and the fat of well-fed beasts. I do not delight in the blood of bulls or lambs or goats. When you come to appear before me, who has required of you the trampling of my courts? Bring no more vain offerings. Incense is an abomination to me. New moon and Sabbath are the calling of convocations. I cannot endure iniquity and solemn assembly. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hates. They have become a burden to me. I am weary of bearing them. When you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood. Wash yourselves. Make yourselves clean. Remove the evil of your deeds from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Correct oppression. Bring justice to the fatherless. Plead the widow's cause. Come. Now let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall become like wool. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be eaten by the sword, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. How the faithful city has become a whore, she who was full of justice, righteousness lodged in her, but now murderous. Your silver has become dross, your best wine mixed with water. Your princes are rebels and companions of thieves. Everyone loves a bribe and runs after gifts. They do not bring justice to the fatherless, and the widow's cause does not come to them. Therefore, the Lord declares, the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will get relief from my enemies and avenge myself on my foes. I will turn my hand against you, and I will smelt away your dross with the lye and remove all your alloy. And I will restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed by justice, and those who repent by righteousness. But rebels and sinners shall be broken together, and those who forsake the Lord shall be consumed. For they shall be ashamed of the oaks that you desired, and you shall blush for the gardens that you have chosen. For you shall be like an oak whose leaf withers, and like a garden without water, and the strong shall become tinder, and his work a spark, and both of them shall burn together with none to quench them. Isaiah chapter 2. The word of Isaiah the son of Amoz concerning Judah and Jerusalem. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the highest of the mountains, and shall be lifted up above the hills, and all the nations shall flow to it. And many people shall come and say, Come, let us go to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between the nations, and he shall decide disputes for many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. For you have rejected your people, the house of Jacob, because they are full of things from the east, and the fortune tellers like the Philistines, and they strike hands with the children of foreigners. Their land is filled with silver and gold, and there is no end to their treasures. Their land is filled with horses, and there is no end to their chariots. Their land is filled with idols. They bow down to the work of their hands. So what their own fingers have made, so man is humbled, and each one is brought low. Do not forgive them. Enter into the rock and hide in the dust from before the terror of the Lord and from the splendor of his majesty. The haughty looks of a man shall be brought low, and the lofty pride of man shall be humbled. That the Lord will and the Lord alone will be exalted in that day. For the Lord of hosts has a day against all that is proud and lofty, against all that is lifted up, and all that is brought low, against all the cedars of Lebanon, lofty and lifted up, against all the oaks of Bashan, against the lofty mountains, against the uplifted hills, against every high tower, against every fortified wall, against the ships of Tarshish, and against all the beautiful craft. And the haughtiness of man shall be humbled, and the lofty pride of man shall be brought low, and the Lord alone will be exalted in that day. And the idols shall utterly pass away, and the people shall enter the caves and the rocks and the holes in the ground from before the terror of the Lord and from the splendor of the majesty when he rises to terrify the earth. In that day mankind will cast away their idols of silver and their idols of gold, which they made themselves to worship, to the moles and the bats, till they enter the caves and the rocks, to the clefts and the cliffs, from before the terror of the Lord and the splendor of the majesty when he rises to terrify the earth. Stop regarding man, in whose nostrils breath, for of what account is he? Isaiah chapter 3. For behold, the Lord God of hosts is taking away from Jerusalem and from Judah support and supply, all support of bread, all support of water, the mighty man and soldier, the judge and the prophet, the diviner and the elder, the captain of 50, and the man of rank, and the counselor, the skillful magician, and excellent in charms. And I will make boys princes, and infants shall rule over them, and the peoples will oppress one another, every one his fellows, and every one his neighbor. The youth will be insolent to the elder, and despise the honorable. For a man will take hold of his brother in the house of his father, saying, You have a cloak, you shall be our leader, and this heap of ruins shall be under your rule. In that day he will speak, saying, I will not be a healer. In the house there is neither bread nor cloak. You shall not make me leader of the people, for Jerusalem has stumbled, and Judah has fallen, because the speech of their deeds are against the Lord, defying his glorious presence. For a look on their faces for the look on their faces bears witness against them. They proclaim their sin like Sodom. They do not hide it. Woe to them, for they have brought evil on themselves. Tell the righteous that it shall be well with them, for they shall eat fruits of their deeds. Woe to the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for what his hands have dealt out shall be done to him. My people, infants are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Oh, my people, your guides misled you, and they have swallowed up the course of your past. The Lord has taken his place to contend. He stands to judge peoples. The Lord will enter into judgment with the elders and princes of his people. If it is you who have devoured the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What do you mean by crushing my people, by grinding the faces of the poor, declares the Lord God of hosts. The Lord said, Because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with outstretched necks, glancing wantonly with their eyes, mincing along as they go, tinkling with their feet, therefore the Lord will strike with a scab the heads of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will lay bare their secret parts. In that day the Lord will take away the finery of the anklets, the headbands and the crescents, the pendants, the bracelets and the scarves, the headdresses, the armlets, the sashes, the perfume boxes and the amulets, the signet rings and the nose rings, the festal robes, the mantles, the cloaks and the handbags, the mirrors, the linen garments, and the turbans and the veils. Instead of perfume there will be rottenness, and instead of a belt a rope, and instead of a well-set hair baldness, and instead of a rich robe a skirt of sackcloth, and branding instead of beauty. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty men in battle, and the gates shall lament the morn empty. She shall sit on the ground. Isaiah chapter 4. And 7 women shall take hold of one man that day, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own clothes, only let us be called by your name and take away our reproach. In that day the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land shall be pride of honor and the survivors of Israel. And he who is left in Zion and remains in Jerusalem will be called holy. Everyone who has been recorded for life in Jerusalem, when the Lord have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion and cleansed the bloodstains of Jerusalem from its midst by a spirit of judgment and by a spirit of burning. Then the Lord will create over the whole site of Mount Zion and over her assemblies by cloud by day and smoke and shining and flaming fire by night for all those glory. There will be a canopy, there will be a booth for a shade of day and the heat, and a refuge from a shelter from the storm and the rain. Isaiah chapter 5. Let me sing for my beloved my song concerning his vineyard. My beloved has had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with choice vines. He built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed a wine vat in it, and he looked for it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. And now inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done it? When I have looked for it to yield grapes, when did it not yield? When did it yield wild grapes? And now I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it shall be devoured. I will break down its wall, and it shall be trampled down. I will make it a waste. It shall not be pruned or hoed, and briars or thorns shall grow up. I will command the clouds that they rain down upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah, and the pleasant planting. And he looked for justice, but beheld bloodshed, for righteousness, but beheld an outcry. Woe to those who join house to house, who add field to field until there is no more room, and you are made to dwell alone in the midst of the land. The Lord of hosts has sworn in my hearing, surely many houses shall be desolate, large and beautiful houses without inhabitant. For 10 acres of vineyards shall yield but one bath, and an omer of seed shall yield but one ephah. Woe to those who rise early in the morning, that they may run after strong drink and tarry late into the evening as wine inflames them. They have lyre and harp, tambourine and flute, wine at their feast, but they do not regard the deeds of the Lord or seek the work of his hands. Therefore my people go into exile for lack of knowledge. Their honored men go hungry, and a multitude is parched with thirst. Therefore Sheol has enlarged its appetite and opened its mouth beyond measure, and the nobility of Jerusalem and her multitude will go down. Her revelers who exalt, and her man is humbled, and each one brought low, and by the eyes of the haughty are brought low. But the Lord of hosts is exalted in justice, and the holy God shows himself holy in righteousness. Then shall the lambs graze as in their pasture, and no man shall eat among the ruins of the rich. Woe to those who draw iniquity with cords of falsehood, who draw sin as with a cart of ropes, who say, let him be quick, let his speed his work, let that we may see it. Let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw near, and let it come that we may know of it. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, and who put darkness for light and light for darkness, and who put bitter sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own sight. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine, and valiant men and mixing strong drink. Woe who acquit the guilty for a bribe, who deprive the innocent of his right. Therefore, as the tongue of fire devours the stubble, as dry grass sinks down in the flame, so the root will be rotten and the blossom grow up like dust. For they have rejected the law of the Lord of hosts, and have despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against his people, and he stretched out his hand against them and struck them. And the mountains quaked, and their corpses were as refuse in the midst of the streets. For all his anger has not turned away, and his hand is stretched out still. He will rise to single for nations far away, and whistle for them from the ends of the earth. And behold, quickly, speedily they come. None is weary, as none stumbles, none slumbers or sleeps. Not a waistband is loose, not a sandal strap is broken. Their arrows are sharp, all their bows are bent. Their horses' hoofs seem like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring is like a lion. Their young lions, they roar, they growl, they seize their prey, they carry it off. None can rescue. They will growl over in the daylight, the growling of the sea. And if it looks for the land, behold the darkness and distress, and by the light is darkened by its clouds. Isaiah chapter 6. In the year of King Uzziah died, and the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up in the train of the robe of the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings, which 2 covered his face, and 2 he covered with his feet, and with two he flew. As one called to another, he said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, Woe is me, for I am lost. For I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a burning coal that he had taken with tongs from the altar. And he touched my mouth and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin is atoned for. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and whom will go for us? Then I said, Here I am, send me. And he said, Go, and say this to the people. Keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. Make the heart of this people dull, and their ears heavy, and blind their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed. Then I said, How long, O Lord? And he said, Until cities lie in waste without inhabitants, until houses without people, and the land desolate waste, and the Lord removes the people away from the forsaken places, are many in the midst of the land, and though a tenth remain in it, it will be burned again like a tree, terebinth or an oak, whose stump remains when it is felled. The holy seed is a stump. Isaiah chapter 7. In the days of King Asa, of Jotham, of Uzziah, of king of Judah, Rezin, the king of Syria, Pekah, the son of Ramiah, the king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to wage war against it, but could not yet mount an attack against it. When the house of David was told, Syria is in league with Ephraim, the heart of Ahaz, and the heart of his people shook as the trees of the forest shake before the wind. And the Lord said to Isaiah, Go out, meet Ahaz, you and Jehoshaphati your son, at the end of the conduit, the upper pool, on the highway of the washer's field, and say to him, Be careful, be quiet, do not fear, and do not let your heart be faint. Because of these two smoldering stumps of the firebrands, at the fierce anger of Rezin Syria and the son of Ramaliah, because Syria with Ephraim the son of Ramaliah has devised evil against you, saying, Let us go up against Judah and terrify it, and let us conquer it for ourselves, and set up the son of Tabeel as king in the midst of it. Thus says the Lord God, It shall not stand, and it shall not come to pass. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin, and within 65 years Ephraim will be shattered from being a people, and the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is the son of Ramaliah. If you are not firm in faith, you will not be firm at all. Again the Lord spoke to Ahaz, Ask a sign of the Lord your God, let it be deep as Sheol and high in heaven. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, and I will not put the Lord to the test. And he said, Hear then, O house of David, it is too little for you weary men that you weary my God also. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. He shall eat curds and honey when he knows how to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the boy knows how to refuse evil and choose the good, the land of the two kings you dread will be deserted. The Lord will bring upon you and upon your people and upon your father's house such as days have not come since the day that Ephraim departed from Judah and the king of Assyria. In that day the Lord will whistle for the fly that is at the end of the streams of Egypt, and the bee that is in the land of Assyria, and they will all come and settle in the steep ravines and in the clefts of the rocks and on the thorn bushes, on all the pastures. In that day the Lord will shave with a razor that is hired beyond the river with the king of Assyria, the head of the hair of the feet, and it will be swept away, the beard also. In that day will man keep alive a young cow and 2 sheep, and because of the abundance of milk they will give, he will eat curds, for everyone who is left in the land will eat curds and honey. In the day every place where there used to be 1,000 vines worth thousands of shekels of silver will become briars and thorns. With bow and arrows man will come there, for all the land will be briars and thorns, and for the hills that used to be hoed with a hoe you will not come for fear of the briars and thorns, but there will become a place where cattle are let loose and where sheep tread. Isaiah chapter 8. Then the Lord said to me, Take a large tablet and write on it in common characters belonging to Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz, and I will get a reliable witness, Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jerebiah, to attest for me. And I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. Then the Lord said to me, Call his name Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz, for before the boy knows how to cry, My father or my mother, the wealth of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria will be carried away before the king of Assyria. The Lord spoke to me again, Because this people has refused the waters of Shiloh that flow gently, and rejoice over Rezin the son of Ramaliah. Therefore, behold, the Lord is bringing up against them the waters of the river, mighty and many. The king of Assyria and all his glory, and it will rise over its channels and go over all its banks, and it will sweep into Judah. It will overflow and pass on, regarding even to the neck and its outspread wings with the final breath of your land. O Emmanuel, be broken, you peoples, and be shattered. Give ear, all your far countries. Strap on your armor and be shattered. Strap on your armor and be shattered. Take counsel together, but it will come to nothing. Speak word, but it will not stand, for God is with us. For the Lord spoke thus to me with his strong hand upon me, and warned me not to walk in the way of his people, saying, do not call conspiracy all that this people calls conspiracy, and do not fear what they fear, nor be in dread. But the Lord of hosts, him you shall honor as holy. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread, and he will become sanctuary, and a stone of offense, and a rock of stumbling to both houses of Israel, a trap and a snare, inhabitants of Jerusalem, and many shall stumble on it. They shall fall and be broken, and shall be snared and taken. Bind up testimony, and seal the teaching among the disciples. I will wait for the Lord, who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob, and I will hope in him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord has given me are signs and portents in Israel of the Lord of hosts, who dwells in the Mount Zion. When they say to you, inquire of the mediums and the necromancers who chirp and mutter, should not a people inquire of their God? Should they inquire of the dead on behalf of the living? To the teaching and to the testimony. If they will not speak according to this word, that is because they have no dawn. They will pass through the land greatly distressed and hungry, and when they are hungry, they will be enraged and will speak contemptuously against their king and their God, and turn their faces upright, and they will look to the earth, but behold, distress and darkness, the gloom of anguish, and they will be thrust into thick darkness. Isaiah chapter 9. But there will be no gloom for her who was in anguish. In the former time he brought into contempt the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but in the latter time he has made glorious the way of the sea, the land beyond the Jordan, Galilee, and the nations. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, on them a light has shone. You have multiplied the nation, you have increased its joy. They rejoice before you in the joy of the harvest, for they are glad when they divide the spoil. For the yoke is of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, you have broken as on the day of Midian. For every boot of trampling warrior in battle and tumult, and every garment rolled in the blood will be burned as fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of the peace there will be no end. On the throne of David, over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and righteousness from this time forth forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. The Lord has sent a word against Jacob, and it will fall on Israel, and all the people will know Ephraim and his inhabitants of Samaria, who say the pride and the arrogance of the heart. The bricks have fallen, but we will build with dressed stones. The sycamores have been cut down, but we will put cedars in their place. But the Lord raises the adversaries of Rezin against him and stirs up his enemies. The Syrians on the east and the Philistines on the west devour Israel with open mouth. For all his anger is stretched and turned out, and his hand is stretched out still. The people did not turn to him who struck them, nor inquire of the Lord of hosts. So the Lord cut off from Israel the head and tail, palm and branch, and reed in one day. The elder and honored man is the head, and the prophet who teaches lies at the tail. For those who guide the people have been leading them astray, and those who guided them are swallowed up. Therefore the Lord does not rejoice over their young men, and has no compassion on their fatherless or the widows. For everyone is godless and an evildoer, and every mouth speaks folly. For this his anger has not turned away, and his hand is stretched out still. For the wickedness burns like a fire, consumes briars and thorns, it kindles thickets of the forest, and they roll upward in a column of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of the hosts, the land is scorched, and the people are like fuel for the fire. No one spares another. They slice meat on the right, but are still hungry. They devour on the left, but are not satisfied. Each devours the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh devours Ephraim, Ephraim devours Manasseh. Together they are against Judah. For all this his anger has not turned away, and the hand is stretched out still. Well, this has been day 33 of our 60-day journey through the Word. Stay tuned for more. God bless and have a great day.